And we are back here on Fox 59 tonight alongside Greg Merriweather. I'm Cameron Riddle. We're talking about the big weekend happening in Indianapolis this weekend with the Indiana Black Expo Summer Celebration having its big weekend along with the WNBA All-Star Weekend, all happening at the same time in Indianapolis. And there's a lot of effort, of course, to keep the city safe and keep everybody having a good time. And the headlines pointing out how great of a city that Indianapolis is. A part of all that is the crime prevention that the city does, not just this weekend, but that they do year-round. Greg, you've caught headlines, caught wind of some headlines that highlight just how many of these organizations, how much money they are getting, and I feel like you take issue with some of this.
Yeah, I from another news source saw a story, and it talked about the grant money and has it really worked? Has it really, helped with stopping or even minimizing crime or violent crime? And there was just some loopholes in it, man. I just think that, when I see the money and how it's dispersed, my eyebrows raised and I'm like, okay, what are they doing with the money? And is it, again, they're saying that this money is, I think the elevation grant was supposedly going towards root causes of these things. And I'm like, if it's going towards root causes, then most of these programs wouldn't exist. Because again, if the root, to me, a lot of the root causes are systemic. So if I'm looking and I'm saying that this is a root cause, this is a grant for root cause stuff, then yeah, there's not really much those organizations can do to actually address the root causes. It's like they're not going in there and saying, okay, we're giving out jobs per se. I mean, some may, I don't know, but is it a livable wage? I don't know. There's so many issues that we could look at and say, okay, is it a root cause? And I think something has happened. I think that there's something that has happened. There's been some kind of training to make us believe that we're doing root cause work when we're actually doing status quo or surface work. So the money to me seems like almost like the problem because one, it's created competitive nature where most people now don't want to work with each other. It's created a thing where people, where there's a lot of money. You're talking about, what was it, $150 million from 2022 to 2025 or something like that. So 3 years, $150 million that they've been giving out. Then, if you got 3 years, Cameron, we can create they had 3 years. We could have created an organization in the second year and been like, man, we're going to get over on this thing. I'm going to go grab me some kids and man, do a 80-20, 80% of it we'll put on administration and 20 we'll put into the program and walk out like we, and then the other part is you finding out that the accountability hasn't been there. So that's, it's a lot going on with that.
You talk about accountability. One of the things that I have questions on, all of these things you would think involving youth should have some connection to the chief of youth violence prevention, who in this case is Ralph Durrett Jr. We don't get to hear from him much.
No.
We've seen him at the press conference, haven't had him doing much.
Yeah, he and I are on a panel for the NAACP in July, or the last week of July.
I've got a letter from Ralph. Ralph's supposed to come on the radio show, and hasn't. We tried to get that set up, and that wasn't. He was not made available.
Sure,
if you understand.
I understand.
He wants to come on, but I have a letter here that I'm trying to pull up from him, where he talks about the solutions that he's trying to offer the city, and apparently it's fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah, we sat together maybe a couple weeks ago, and he read the letter to me, and I was disappointed that he didn't get a chance to say that. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been quite groundbreaking for us to hear that in a press conference, and I think that a lot of people would have been disturbed at the power that was in that message. And again, I will say this, in talking to Ralph, the root cause guy, when you're a root cause guy, mm-hmm. It's like it's hard to be in these spaces, man, because again, we've been programmed to think program and not programmed to think fix. It's like I say it all the time. This has become like big pharma. There's more money in the medicine than in the cure. Mm-hmm. And so when I listen to Ralph's message, and I've talked to him numerous times, Ralph is a guy who's like, let's get to the grit of it and fix it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that message has been accepted on the 25th floor.
Why do you think that is? Why? I mean, I'm trying to find, because it's a lengthy answer.
Why do I think that is? Listen, it's to me, bad leadership blocks great leadership in some instances, and honestly, I would be hypocritical if I did not say this. Is I've not seen a lot of people who look like me in the mayor's camp. Mm-hmm. And that disturbs me. And there's no knock to anybody who's worked in crime prevention, but I found it interesting. I remember when I wrote the job description for the director's position for crime prevention, mm-hmm. and a lot of people were like, instantly thought that should be a job that was held by a black man. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just what people said. And because when you realize that the victim and the perp are more than likely black men, when you realize that, every year 9,000 black men are dying, from gun violence, mm-hmm. that, okay, this might be the problem and the solution. So it's like, so I just kind of looked at that. So when I looked, and I remember when Ralph initially got that position, that I reached out to him and we sat down and I talked, and I'll tell you exactly what I said. And I hope one day you guys can talk. And I said, they're going to silence you. Mm-hmm. And, he was just kind of like, and I'm like, yeah, your voice is, this is classic. This is classic. When you get placed in those positions and all of a sudden it's almost like he's saying it exists. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing something, but that person is not doing something. And all of a sudden they're quiet. So I just think that the mayor he does a good job with the what is it called, a 3-car Molly or something like that. And so all of a sudden you don't hear from these people. So I wish he would allow someone. It would be powerful, and I think that this is another thing that we need to think about. It would be powerful to see a black man come out and get on the microphone and directly address our people.
Well, I was able to find Ralph's letter.
Sure.
That he gave us permission to share.
Sure.
And it's 5 pages, so I'll read some of it. I'll put it up on the screen. Okay. Because he's doing what you said, and that is a black person addressing these issues that, as you keep pointing out, are directly impacting black people. Yeah. And I know that maybe not everybody is comfortable with saying that, but this is what he says. And
by the way, go ahead. I have it on my phone. Okay. He sent it to me as well. So
okay. It took me a while to be able to figure out how to pull it up. Go ahead. He says, "My heart is heavy. Once again, Indianapolis woke up to a tragic loss of 2 young people, 2 teenagers on what should have been a day of celebration, family, and unity. Instead, we are mourning. Instead, we are scrambling, reacting. Let me be clear. This is not about what happened on the 4th of July. This is about what's been happening every day in communities across our city and if we want to be honest, across our country in the most metropolitan communities. We must be real in our analysis of where we are right now. This is about a culture and environment that allows violence to grow faster than opportunity, a culture and environment that values death over life, a culture and environment that reverses clout over dignity and integrity. A culture and environment that values ignorance over understanding. We are not simply facing a crisis of individual choices. We are facing a crisis of conditions that are outward manifestation of our culture and environments we exist in. I want to say, many are afraid to say, programs are not enough. While valuable, programs are often drops of water in a firestorm. We cannot program our way out of culture, despair, pain, hate, anger, and confusion. What we need is not just programming, we need cultural transformation. And yes, I am hopeful, but I'm also angered by the reactive nature of this conversation. Every time a young person is killed, the same cycle repeats. Headlines, hashtag, heartbreaks, and then silence until it happens again. We must move beyond an emotional, reactive nature and evolve into a community of purposeful response. Reaction is the immediate reply to outside stimuli. Response is the intentional strategy curated to resolve, influence, and empower. Reaction is fueled by pain. Response is driven by purpose. We need to stop reacting and start responding. Our young people deserve more than outrage. They deserve action. The solution is twofold, he says: intervention and prevention. Intervention is what we do in real time when harm is imminent or occurring. It's how we stop the bleeding and shift the momentum. Intervention looks like violence interruption teams that step in to de-escalate conflicts before they become deadly. Outreach workers building trusted relationships with at-risk youth and offering them a way out. Safe passage programs that protect young people who are hanging out after hours. Crisis response hubs that provide rapid mental health support and family stabilization when shootings happen. Reentry programs for young people coming out of detention, offering therapy, mentorship, job placement, and community reintegration. Trauma-informed care, the hospitals and schools to identify victims and shooters early because often they are the same people. These are not theory. These are proven solutions. When they are well-funded, community-rooted, sustained, they save lives. Prevention is about addressing the root causes before violence ever has a chance to take hold. It's about shifting the conditions in which our communities grow, learn, and define themselves. Prevention looks like culturally rooted mentorship, starting in elementary and middle school, pairing youth with strong community-enabled role models. We've talked about that.
Absolutely.
Year-round employment and career exposure programs that give youth alternatives to the street. Access to mental health resources early, especially in schools, churches, and community centers where trust already exists. Life skills development, including emotional articulation, conflict resolution, and decision-making embedded into after-school and summer programs. Parent support networks that offer parenting classes, fatherhood initiatives, peer circles, and practical resources, not just judgment. Place-based investment into the most under-resourced neighborhoods, better lighting, green space, safe recreational areas, access to food, transportation, and healthcare. School systems that uplift, not criminalize, black and brown youth, replacing punitive discipline with restorative justice practices and inclusive leadership opportunities. Positive third places, youth-focused safe places outside of the home and school where youth can go, people can gather, grow and be themselves without fear. These are community centers, art spaces, gyms, libraries, barbershop, youth cafes, tech labs where belonging is nurtured and purpose is discovered. They are critical environments for building peer relationships, engaging in creativity, accessing mentorship, and simply breathing without the weight of survival. Prevention is not soft. It is smart. It is focused. It is intentional. Every dollar we spend preventing violence today saves thousands in trauma, incarceration, and grief for tomorrow. How the city of Indianapolis can invest in our young people. If we are serious about change, real, sustainable, generational change, then we must invest in our young people, not as a side project, but as a central priority. We cannot continue to ask youth to rise above broken systems with nothing more than resilience. We must give them resources, pathways, and purpose. We must give them something to rise into. Here's what that investment must look like. Financial commitment. The city of Indianapolis should create a dedicated youth opportunity fund, a protected source of funding that directly supports initiatives centered around youth mentorship, trauma, healing, enrichment programs, mental health services, and job creation. Beyond that, we should pilot participatory budgeting for youth, allowing young people to help decide how funds are used in their communities, giving them a voice in shaping their future. Infrastructure growth. We have vacant buildings across our city that could be transformed into youth empowerment hubs, safe places where young people can learn, grow, heal, and lead. These spaces can offer everything from job training to entrepreneurship, support to creative arts, conflict mediation, and therapy. The city should prioritize these conversations, particularly in areas with high rates of violence and disinvestment. These hubs, along with positive third places, must become the norm, not the exception. Workforce and education pathways. We must expand year-round employment pipelines for youth that connect them to meaningful work within city departments, private sectors, and trade industries. Every teen who wants to work should be able to do so safely and legally. Youth may not pursue college, we must offer credentialing programs, paid apprenticeships, and trade exposure that prepare them for long-term economic independence. Additionally, we should partner with local universities to create bridge programs that bring mentorship, credit earning opportunities, and civic engagement to youth who are already ready for the next level. Holistic well-being. Mental health must no longer be a luxury. It is a necessity. The city should ensure embedded mental health professionals in every school and expand mobile mental health units that serve high-risk neighborhoods and trusted community institutions. We must also launch and scale a righteous parenting support network, providing classes, healing circles, fatherhood initiatives, and practical assistance to parents navigating hardship, helping families, helps youths. Youth violence, youth voice, and leadership. Young people are not just impacted by policy, they must help shape it. The city should establish a youth cabinet that directly advises the mayor and city county council, particularly on public safety, mental health, and education. I like this. You should also be hired into a paid advisory ambassador roles within departments focused on violence prevention, community engagement, and civic development. If we are building for them, we must build with them. The investments are not charity, they are strategy. They are not about saving a few, they are about securing a future. If we truly want to prevent violence, we must outspend ignorance, neglect, and hate, not just in enforcement, but in investment. The return on that investment is not just safety, it's legacy. Now let me speak directly to a growing narrative that I'm hearing, and that's about parents. I want to be clear. Blaming parents is low-hanging fruit. They are the easiest target in a complex conversation, but it is also one of the most incomplete, misleading ones. Not all parents are created equal, especially in a time where we are now seeing the generational remnants on a mass media level, the breakdown of family and culture. Not all parents have the same tools, support systems, or opportunities to combat circumstances they and their children face daily. I've heard people say they need to stop having kids that they cannot take care of, and that these parents are trash. These kids are already here, and some of the parents may be inadequate. I ask, and now what? You make the statement, then what? We cannot call ourselves a community on terms that are conditional and out of convenience. In order for us to evolve, we must take the good with the bad while working on the worst aspects and attributes of our culture. Complaining sounds like productive conversation in an echo chamber, but I promise it's self-defeating and a self-deprecating act. I'm also hearing people keep saying parents need to step up, but who says they haven't? I know far too many mothers working 2 jobs and still coming home to fight for their children's future. I've seen fathers pleading with their sons to choose another way. There are countless parents doing their absolute best, trying to save their children's lives, but the culture has them by the throat. It is hard to be a lifeguard in a sea of dysfunction when you yourself are trying not to drown. Now, let's be honest. Yes, there are too many parents being neglectful. That's real. Some are absent, some are broken, some are part of a problem, but we cannot paint every household with the same brush. Accountability is key, but so is support, empathy, and understanding. We must understand that in today's time, many of these people are only children by age and title. Emotionally, mentally, and behaviorally, they have been forced to grow up too fast and experience life at a rate that their prefrontal cortex cannot comprehend. They're getting high, drinking, having sex, and carrying weapons. Some of them are living lives that most adults couldn't survive. So the answer cannot simply be to point fingers at people raising them. The answer must be to build transformative systems that both save the lives of our youth and uplift families who love them. One way of doing that, we must invest and promote in righteous parenting. Righteous parenting is not about being perfect. It's about being principled. It means raising children with love, discipline, accountability, and vision. It means modeling emotional control, teaching values, guiding purpose, and protecting peace in a home. Righteous parenting does not react to a child's behavior. It prepares that child to navigate a world full of pressure, danger, and distraction. But even righteous parenting requires something greater, a righteous community. What is a righteous community? It is one that refuses to normalize dysfunction. It's a community that centers healing, dignity, and accountability, not just for youth, but for everyone. It is a place where people look out for each other, where elders mentor, where businesses hire locally, where schools nurture based on the needs of the student, not on the needs of just the passing standardized testing, and where the streets are safe, not by policing alone, but by proximity, protection, and purpose. The principles of a righteous community are clear: love, an active, unconditional concern for others' well-being, respect for self, for neighbor, for history, for future, accountability, not just consequences, but responsibility rooted in growth, collective responsibility, the understanding that our individual actions shape the whole, equity, fair access to opportunity, healing, and resources. A righteous community is urgent because our people and our communities are in a symbiotic relationship. You cannot separate one from another. The condition of people shapes the condition of their community and vice versa. When a community is healthy, resourced, and united, it elevates people, it builds their confidence, it creates a safety net, it promotes purpose. When a community is fractured, underfunded, and neglected, it reflects that pain right back into its people. It cultivates hopelessness, it rewards survival over success. It promotes life over death. It becomes a pressure cooker.
Death over life.
Death over life.
Yeah.
It becomes a pressure cooker that explodes in moments like the one we just witnessed. We must decide what kind of cycle we want to create, one that destroys or one that restores. Are constructors that engineer hope and confidence, that breed pursuant and justice mindsets? Are we complainers who are derelict in our duty and pass the buck to the next generation? This is not a one agency fix. This is not a one program fix. It is an all of us effort. We must raise the floor on what's acceptable and the ceiling on what's possible. We are not powerless. We are not without solutions. We must be willing to challenge, comfort, confront culture, and commit change. To the families mourning, we see you. We mourn with you, but mourning alone is not justice. We let our pain turn into power. Let this city not just weep, let it wake up. Because we are not disposable, they are not destined to die young. Our young people are not the problem. They are the purpose. And for those of you who want to build, I am here. This is written by Ralph Durrett Jr. I am a husband, a father, a son, a brother, nephew, cousin, and I just so happen to be the Chief Violence Prevention Officer for the city of Indianapolis. I was born and raised here. I serve not because it's easy, but because I believe in the greatness that lies dormant in this city and all of us. I fight every day to awaken that greatness, not with fear, but with faith, fire, and vision. If you're ready to build something, if you're ready to change culture, not just comment on it, reach out to me. Let's bring our ideas, our resources, our talents, and our passion to the same table and get to work. Because the future of the children depend on what we choose to do right now. And in Ralph Durrett Jr. writes, he chooses to build. Greg, those 5 pages is a lot. And I wanted to make sure that it was read in its entirety because Ralph is not. I've invited Ralph on both Fox 59 and on the radio show on WTLC.
Yeah.
And he has not been able to come in his city capacity. So he wrote this as Ralph Durrett Jr. as a person who just so happens to be the Chief Violence Prevention Officer. We only got just a couple minutes left. What do you think of that?
I think it's Ralph and I talked the same. When I talked to Ralph, I told Ralph when he read that letter to me, I was like, when we talk, man, we literally like finish each other's sentences. Ralph understands that this is about root causes. And again, like he said, programs are not enough. When it's all said and done, we can have them, but if we're not going to fix the root cause, then all is lost. And I know, when you're in that office, you have to send that to somebody so they can read it before they give you the okay. And you already know based on what you read, it was like that speech was more mayoral.
Yeah, that was a very mayoral speech.
So when you get that, it's like I see why they didn't let him read it. Unfortunately, I see why they didn't let him read it. But I thought it would have been groundbreaking if he had the opportunity to do it.
Well, it would be groundbreaking there, but there it is.
There it is.
We read every word of it, showed it to you.
Yeah.
If you're watching, if you're listening, we read all 5 pages from Ralph Durrett Jr., who wants you to reach out to him.
Yeah.
As he's still in the role.
He's still in the role.
For now, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, we just read this letter out.
Yeah.
But shout out to Ralph, man. I think that Ralph has been given a raw deal because it's easy to beat up on him because you don't hear or see him. But when you really, I've been there, and I understand that man, they will silence you when they realize that you gave out $150 million, and when I listen to that, that's where the $150 million should go. That's where it should have went.
We'll have to continue this conversation.
No doubt.
And hopefully we'll be able to get some folks from the city and Ralph to come sit around the table and continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
That's going to do it for this edition of Fox 59 tonight. I thank you for joining us. We'll be back same time, same station every night at 8 o'clock here on Fox 59 now and on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss any of these conversations. You never know what we're going to talk about. Until the next time, have a good night.